What is happening, guys? What is going on? What a stage of challengers we just witnessed. So many upsets. So many wild turns of events. Who knew the boys down under would take down the boys way over? Who knew that 0-0 Nation wouldn't even show up against a Mongolian squad? Actually, I kind of knew that. Those boys are kind of nice over there in the Mongols. They're Mongolian, right? I'm not going to look it up. Sad to say that the two first eliminations were probably the most cheered for teams in Brazil. And of course, we're talking about 0-0, Taco and Cold, and we're talking about, was it Cold Taco? Tacold, that's right, Cuckold. And of course, Imperial. What a great crowd that was for those Brazilian games, with the horn going off, with those huge screams. It's not even a major arena. It was a freaking, conference center. Not a conference room, but sort of like a half arena. Unfortunately, we only get one of the four teams from Brazil going through. That's what I predicted. My predictions ended up doing pretty well. If we look at the 8 that made it, shout out to BNE. I may have said something about the possibility of them going 3-0. I wasn't, entirely serious about it, but I did put it out there. I did not see Maus going 3-0. I knew they had potential to make it through, and they did. And then Big really came up and surprised. I think in that first game they beat Furia, and showed a lot of us that they're always contenders. It doesn't matter if they have a fill-in. It doesn't matter if they're not in their best form, seemingly. Big just always finds a way to move it past this first stage, to beat the bad teams, to prove themselves, that they're always, a top 16 team or something close, and to never count them out. Pretty much exactly how everybody ended up. I feel like most of you guys probably had a 6 out of 9 score on this first stage. If you had 5 out of 9, that means you risked it a little bit more. You threw in Imperial in there. You threw in a Gamer Legion into your top 7, and maybe you had a Vitality in your 3-0. Safe to say that the strategy works well. Because who knew that Vitality and Cloud9 would squeak their way in on the final game, the final day, that Vitality would be an overtime victor, and that would be the only way that they would make it past the first stage. A lot of surprises, but at the same time, not many surprises at all when you consider who actually ended up making it through. Most of us got 6 out of 7 in our 7 to advance, and then probably did not get our 0-3 because we didn't want to count out the 2 Brazilian squads from making it in. I mean, who did? Most people had Imperial somewhat in this first top 10 area, and really considering the crowd as an element. And then not many people really said that Cold's there. Oh, he's not going to win one game, or I'm not saying he's the best player in their team. They have a whole bunch of talent in that squad, and they couldn't even find the gusto to win one match. That makes me a little bit sad. I mean, Dumao, Try, Cold, Taco, and Lotto. I mean, it's not a bad team at all. If you're looking at South America, that's a top 3 team, you think? Well, 9Z proved that they're better than them, and probably better than Imperial as well. 9Z is kind of like the complexity of South America. Lesser-known names, but just a well-built-together squad, good fraggers, high-ceiling kind of team. Really, really could have made it through. Say if they got a matchup against Gamer Legion, or maybe a little bit easier road. Oh, they did face Big. They beat EG, rightfully so. They beat Imperial. I guess they had a justified route, and then they had to go up against Fnatic, which is not the worst of the 3. If anything, it's the easiest of the 3 matchups if you're comparing it to the other 2 teams that lost and having to face Vitality and Cloud9. They could not prove themselves. That's okay. They weren't one of the best 8, and most of us are moving on to the next round. I think a lot of us thought that there'd be a lot of bronze coiners, and as is the case, that isn't true. But bronze is just the first level of all of this. Nobody wants to be a bronze coiner, but I think even worse, nobody wants to be a silver coiner either. I'm not going to be repping my silver coin if I don't get it through this next frickin' round, the legend stage, and please tell me if you think this is going to be easy, because I think it's going to be incredibly difficult. I think we're going to see a knockoff of about 60 to 70% of you guys, because look how many teams are in here that could make it through. Look how many teams that are viable. And if you look at my top 8 right now, who I have, I'm leaving out Vitality. I'm leaving out Cloud9. I'm leaving out Spirit and Furia and Mouse, who just look incredible. In fact, there's only 3 teams which I'm pretty confident in saying you're not going to make it through. Compare that to the Challenger stage, where there was 3 teams I was sure probably wouldn't win a game, even though that's not possible. And I was wrong about 9Z. I think I said one of them was 9Z. No, it was EG, I think, said. Could be O3 as well. Wow. Who do you think here is going to surpass? Imagine like Sprout makes it in or something. I'm going to be so pissed. Imagine Big makes it through. I'm going to be so befuddled. If Fnatic gets by, I'm going to be perplexed. Let's start at the top here. We got FaZe against Cloud9. Proof that with these first 2 matchups, again, you have to go with the strategy. I mean, who's going to win these? Na'Vi versus Vitality, FaZe versus Cloud9. This is not a scripted matchup. This is just the way of the works. This is because Cloud9 and Vitality were the last 2 qualified. And so now we get to see them match up. This could very well be the top 4 teams in the world, especially when these guys are playing at their best. I mean, really think about it. Like Heroic, maybe Liquid, maybe right now, as in terms of NiP, playing pretty well. These are probably the 4 best teams. And we get to see them in the first round, proving that 3-0 is not going to be any light work whatsoever. I'm going to go with the 2 obvious choices. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going to go ahead and lock in FaZe and Na'Vi. We're going to move on to NiP versus Fnatic. I'm also probably the most confident about this matchup. NiP has been playing very well lately. They seem to be flexing. They seem to be... Alexi B seems to be fitting in extremely well. I thought Hampus kind of was already set as this team's IGL. And when they dropped Plopsky for Alexi B, I was concerned that they had made a mistake in their roster, because I felt like Plopsky was, kind of a valuable asset. Somebody who, I don't know if he plays Lurk, but he does have like a lot of clutch plays. He fills in the gaps well for NIP. Kind of confusing to me. And Alexi B is not a big fragger. So when you take out an IGL, or you add an IGL, I expect you to take out one. That's not to say Hampus is bad, or was the team's problem, or doesn't frag a lot. But we know Alexi B, he's capable of putting up single-digit kills in a game, and still performing well in terms of his psychology and calling. But yeah, they didn't get rid of Esatag. That's the thing that was confusing to me. Of course, Rez, I believe, has been opping recently, and so it's even more questionable. Like, why did you not get rid of Esatag when he was the stand-in opper for a little bit? Now you have Rez opping, and you seemingly have 2 IGLs. Either way, I'm going with NiP here over Fnatic. I don't think Fnatic played extremely well in that first, in the Challenger stage. Mezzi's the IGL. There seems to be a little bit of, I don't know, I saw an interview with Roy after one of the games, and he doesn't seem entirely confident in his ability to call. Of course, Roy is, a brilliant mind in his own right and capable of filling in the gaps there, but I'm going to go with NIP here. ENCE versus Furia. This is one of the first big question marks. I'm going to go with Furia. For some reason, I tend to, excuse the coughing, guys. I woke up this morning even more sick than I've been the rest of the week. Just can't seem to shake this illness. Hopefully I'm all right, because I really, really want to see Champions stage. and see Liquid go through, of course. But we'll get to that. Fury has been playing well in the last match. And Case Serrato, Yuri, Safe, Art. I mean, you seem like everybody, even Drop, looking good. I'm going to take them over Ents. Crowd or no crowd, I'd go with Furia here. I'm not convinced that Ents has sort of recovered and their old form. Of course not. You lose Spinks. Of course, you probably upgraded your Opper, but I don't know. Maybe I should go Ents here. They did make it through 3-0. They did make it through 3-0 in the RMR. And, you face who you face. They didn't face difficult competition. But they did make it through 3-0. And by good rounds won, rounds lost, by good ratio is the word I'm looking for. But I'm going to go with Furia. I feel like the wheels have been greased. Furia is starting to heat up. They made it through the legend stage last tournament, if I remember correctly, in Antwerp. I'm rooting for them. Maybe it's a little biased. Big versus Sprout. I mean, this matchup is huge. And you're like, bruh, what are you talking about? Look at all these other matchups. Yeah, this one right here, though. And of course, I'm talking about your pick'ems, you slimy fuck. I'm talking about your pick'ems. I'm trying to worry about you, and you're criticizing me for calling Big versus Sprout huge. It's goddamn Refresh. Of course, it's a huge matchup. We want to see Refresh do well. No, I'm talking about your pick'ems, dog, and we're talking about 0-3. This matchup and the what's the word? The relevance. That's a big word right there, relevance. The relevance it has to your pick'ems is gargantuan. Ginormous, if you will. Because whoever loses this game, I'm telling you right now, is going to go 0-3. It's not really a question of who, what, when, where, why. Fnatic, if you look at them as the third weakest team here, because you really could, I guess B&E could lose as well, but I'm not rooting against B&E. With how they showed us in that first stage, I'm not being that kind of fool again. And I'm going to go with Big. And I'll tell you why. Because it's freaking Sprout. Okay, do I have to break it down for you? Do I really have to break it down for you? I watched their matchup against Spirit when they beat Spirit. And Spirit was obviously coasting. Foot off the gas. Chopper wasn't calling his mind out. Patsy was the only guy who showed up in that game. Wonderful was AFK. Big is going to win this game. They're going to continue to show us that on the big stage, they played together for a long time. At least the core guys in Tapson, Keto. What is this, a fucking fat-based diet? Wait, isn't that Keto? Yeah, his name is literally a fat-based diet. That's funny. I really don't know, guys. I can't break it down for you other than the fact that Sprout had a decent run. Okay. But just like Furia, they've had their wheels greased, Big has, and they had probably a way better challenger stage than people anticipated. They didn't face amazing teams. I'm not out here trying to tell you that 9Z is some supreme competition, or that Greyhound, even though they beat Cloud9, was really going to face them with some, whatever. They lost to B&E too. Shouldn't that tell you that I don't know, man. Shouldn't that tell you that it's not B&E, okay? It's not going to be B&E that goes 0-3? And it very well may. It very well may be B&E that goes 0-3. But if they don't match up against each other, we'll never know. We'll never know what the rematch says. Either way, it's a best of one. Anything could happen in any of these games, guys. I wouldn't even say that about challengers, even though, for the most part, actually, it kind of did pan out the way you thought, except for that first Outsiders Mouse game. We're moving on. We're not going to spend an hour on round one. Outsiders versus Heroic. I don't know what to think about Outsiders. I don't know if Jabby is a good fill-in or not. I don't know if he fits this team or not. I know he's a good player, but I also know that what I saw from Fame, the kind of performance the Outsiders showed us, what they go 16-1? What do they dunk their heads in a toilet? Who do they beat? Fnatic. Who's on Fnatic, by the way? Yeah, that's right. 2 ex-members of none other than Copenhagen Flames, Gabby's old teammates. I'm going Outsiders in the first game. Could easily be heroic, but so could a lot of these. I'm going with my gut here. Speaking of gut calls, Spirit versus BNE. Spirit did in fact 2-0 BNE in the RMR. Now that should be indicative of future performance. Let's just make an educated, not a guess, educated assumption about what this matchup might look like. A 2-0 is pretty dang indicative. Indicative. How do you see... Oh, literally here. Duh. Dumpstered. Not dumpstered, but squashed. They squashed B&E. Like a sliding glass window. Sliding glass door. B&E got dumpstered. Their own pick and on Spirit's pick. I know I showed earlier, I was like, oh, Cloud9, Vitality, they're not going to make it. Well, yeah, I have B&E in the top 8. That might help. I also have ENCE in the top 8. That might help. Help or hurt in this case. It really should be Cloud9 and Vitality in here. If you want to have the safest, that is. But we're doing these major simulations for a reason. And that's to see if there's any matchups that might spoil one of these top teams. Oh, the wheels have been greased. I'm going to go with B&E again. Frick it. Frick it all, man. Let's have some fun, shall we? Maybe I was wrong about Sprout. Maybe Sprout's better than we thought. Maybe I was right about Spirit. Maybe they were coasting because they're not actually as good as we thought. Not to say that Patsy, Wonderful, and Siren, the young guns of this squad, aren't capable of winning games against top-tier competition. They are. But B&E is also capable of surprising us. And I feel like B&E performs well against younger players. Against people who simply haven't been alive for as long. Now that's some real, escaping the... That's really escaping the correct... What should be looked at as the correct analysis of a CSGO team and their performance, but, is it really, though? When Spirit's, the age of an academy team and B&E has been together, playing together for 2+ years, I think. Before they were B&E, they were Blink. For the most part, they were all together. They're pretty much all strictly an Albanian squad. They have good communication. I think Rigon is not, but he's close by. Is he Swedish? I think so. I mean, all these matchups, you get one of these wrong, and it's going to, completely... Well, who knows? All these teams are good. I should just go Spirit, right? Because it's Spirit beat them 2-0. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to assume that continues. Also, Russia's the best lead region. It's part of the reason I'm going Russia over the Danes here. They just seem to have some sort of gene that allows them to be good at CSGO. I know I just turned on my heels here and just head in the opposite direction, but oh gosh, I don't know. It's a team. It's a team with a high floor. But where's the ceiling at with B&E? I don't know. Safer option, just go with Spirit. They beat them 2-0. Expect that again. And now Mouse versus Liquid, the last team in this first round. Going to be wrapping this video up soon. Thanks for sticking with me if you have. Heartbreakingly so, I'm going to go with Mouse here. They look like they're on fire. And I feel like Liquid is really solid, and I do expect them to make it past this stage. But they also sometimes take a little bit to get their minds in gear. They use the motivation of being down a game, having their back somewhat against the wall, having a chip on their shoulder to their advantage. And when you got a team as, as cohesive right now as Mouse is, as much as they are 3/5 in a former academy team, I don't expect Exertion's play to slow down or stop just because an NA team steps in his way. And I'm going to lock that in. And I'm going to lock all these in. Okay? And I fully expect these to be the round 2 matchups. I don't expect any of these to be wrong because I'm confident. I'm just like that. Yeah. Okay. I'll be putting out a Pick'ems video very shortly that has my final 8 in there, my 3-0, my Big 7, and my 0-3. But for now, there's round 1, Legend stage of Rio, sure to be electric. Challenger stage was awesome. Hopefully this crowd is pumped up. Hopefully they're excited to see teams other than Brazilian squads participate, because I know they have it in them to be one of the better crowds that we've had since the pandemic, for sure. I wasn't really impressed with, was it Stockholm and Antwerp? Yeah, wasn't, outstanding. So Rio, stand up. These are all great teams. You got some great competition, especially in round 1. Let's go, baby. All right, boys. Catch you in the next one.